It's Thanksgiving here in the United States, but no matter where you're watching from, I am so thankful for you. So happy Thanksgiving. So thankfulness and gratitude is such an important part of living a joyful life. And so I'm so thankful to God for the gifts He's given. And I created this watercolor sketch, a simple journal with watercolor that's really fun to do. You can create it in about 20 minutes. I'll also include a link to my longer watercolor sketch in the notes. But happy Thanksgiving wherever you are, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey everyone, well, we are back with a Thanksgiving Eve watercolor, and I really am actually reversing one of my annual traditions of, if you have been watching me on social media, I have a thankful home that I do every single year. It is a way to really capture the memories and the Thanksgiving, that all the things I'm thankful for the past year in a painting. And the thing is, it takes about an hour, and that's not including the dry time. So I thought, wonder if I can create something shorter for you if you're watching on Thanksgiving Eve and you want to participate in this journal entry and creating a just a way to make memories of remembering the year without spending an hour. So I'm hoping this is going to take about maybe 15 minutes. Now I've done an initial sketch. Instead of a house, I've done flowers. They're going to be a little bit easier to paint. These are sunflowers. And what I've done is usually I'm writing what I'm thankful for. It's a layer within the painting. I am writing everything out first. So what I've done is I just took a few minutes and I put the date on here, and I have just been writing freestyle of many things that I'm thankful for. Now I'm going to give a caveat to this, and I'll come in a little bit closer. You can see if you want to sketch the flowers. So we have basically, I'm going to be doing some fall sunflowers because those are easy to sketch and they're gorgeous and beautiful in a simple vase, almost like a mason jar kind of vase. I've got a couple of petals here on the ground. I've got some candles lit for some ambiance because I do like to do this when it's nice and quiet and just really relax into what the year is. And that caveat I was telling you about, because we leave the ink on first, it's probably going to fade. But that's really going to turn into the beauty of this painting. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with some splattering, because again, in the other painting I would have been splattering at the end, but we are kind of reversing this. We're doing a bit of a reversal, and again, it's going to be a bit of an experiment. It will definitely be more loose than what I usually would do, and I will pull out one of them. I do a couple of them every year. I'll show you the thankful home, but first let's get some splattering down. So I'm just going to grab some yellow, and I'm just going to actually splatter on right around in here. We're just going to start generally splattering some paint around. I'm going to go down here nice and light. I'm going to grab some orange. We're actually going to be doing some nice deep colors, since we're going to be almost those like red orange sunflowers that you've seen in the store at fall time. And I am going to go ahead and get some more orange. Okay, there we go. Getting some orange down here. We're going to be basically using orange or red if you have it, some yellow or gamboge. If you have a yellow, it's going to be really nice to use like a cadmium, yellow ochre. If you have it, I have a cadmium orange medium hue. So I'm going to just splatter that around, and we're going to make sense of this really quick here. And also we're going to use some sap green for the leaves. I am going to go ahead and pull. I'm going to go ahead and actually, this is going to look kind of funny. I want to do some local splattering right where their big sunflower faces are. So I'm going to take my brown and just splatter right in the middle there. I just want to kind of go, and then right here, you don't have to use my little tape. It just kind of helps to keep me focused a bit. I'm going to take that out of there now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay down some more brown and just move this around. I'm not filling it in. I actually want there to be some white, and I kind of would like some of those splatters to be left in there too. I'm just going to move this around. We make that mason jar a different color too. So I'll move this in just a little bit closer so you can see that. And then let's go ahead and grab some yellow. I'm going to do some yellow on here, just a little bit. I will also, not all of these are petals. I've got some of the sap green leaves, which I'm going to add in that green here in just a minute. I'm hoping with this yellow and then the red, I'm gonna add it in while the yellow's still nice and wet, so we get that really beautiful blend. And ideally some of those splatters are gonna blend in too. That's what I want. I have a cadmium red. I think I'm gonna grab, I'm gonna grab a cadmium red, which is on my palette. If you have an alizarin crimson, if I'm saying that right, that'll work really nicely too. This one's kind of a bright red, but we might add some brown to it. But again, I'm just putting a little bit in here, creating those really beautiful, bold sunflower colors that we see around this time of year. And then we're gonna let that blend together while I move around to some of the other sunflower colors. We're gonna go ahead up here. I'm gonna make this one a really beautiful yellow. That was a leaf right there, so I wanna leave that a leaf. Moving around here, and you see the splattering is kind of creating some texture and creating some various colors, which we love, right? This is a sunflower. It's showing up that side view. Why don't we go ahead and do the stems really quick? I'm going to go ahead and do the stem right here. I actually have two stems kind of close together, and I've got this guy right here, and he's going to get a little paint into the other areas, into some of those petals, and that's okay. This again, this is really almost this is a watercolor sketch for sure. It's very light. It's very, very loose. This is the side portrait of this guy. So, and we know that we're gonna just not be stressed that everything is, some of those tendrils sticking out, is very loose and lovely. This right here was a big leaf, so I'm just moving that around. I'm not even gonna feel the need to color it all the way in. I'm gonna create some of those lines. Now, if you wanted to as well, one of the things I thought about doing is I could have written my thank you on the rest, on the petals, which would be really pretty as well, right? That would be pretty to put like like all the people I'm thankful for. That I was really just everyone that was coming to my mind, I was just kind of writing them down. And of course there's many other people, but it can be just, you know, as you start to think about the year and think about, you know, who's really, you know, who's really kind of been spent a lot of time with. And it's definitely expanded this year. You know, and definitely it's changed from other years as well, coming out of just all the restrictions that were in previous years, and, you know, making some new friends, and, you know, people moved around. Okay, I'm going to grab some red too right in here. Definitely made new friends, and, you know, other people moved away physically or just were just doing different things. And look how pretty that is. Isn't that really, really beautiful? Okay, I'm gonna actually take some brown too, just a little bit of brown, and I'm even gonna come around and just where I want it to be not so bright, we can add in a little bit of that brown with that yellow, and just a beautiful fall palette, right? This is looking really, really pretty. Over in this side view over here, I'm gonna add, I had some gamboge that was mixed in with some red. I'm really just using the colors I have on my palette, and feel free to make these all bright yellow sunflowers. Whatever you'd like to do. Now I want to let that dry a little bit before I add in some more detail. Oh, I've got my petals that I've dropped down here. So let me actually come down here. I'm going to, making sure, a couple of petals that have just fallen down. Okay, you can see those. Good, good, good. Now I'm going to look, I want to actually make the vase. I'm going to use some red and some yellow, I think, and create really a bold vase. Maybe some red and some brown, actually. That actually might be nice. And, oh, I did have, I'm going to grab another paintbrush. I do have a leaf coming out here, so let me add that in really quick. Whenever I'm painting kind of quick and I've done that sketch, it can get a little bit blurry about what is a petal and what is a beautiful leaf, right? Okay, so I'm going to add that in. I'm also going to just put a little bit more paint right in here to create that sense of depth. Just adding some more paint will dry in a deeper shade when we're working with watercolor. I'm going to do that over here a bit too. And I'm going to put a little bit more paint and pull it up right over here. Again, I just want to create that nice, those deep fall colors. And just really thinking about the year. So much to be grateful for. Just, you might even want to write out a Thanksgiving prayer. It's nice to sometimes, it's to write these things out and record them, the good things that God has given us. The grace, I was even writing, this was a hard work year for me in my day job, probably one of the most challenging years of my working world for quite a few years. And just thank you that He sustained me. That's huge, right? That's huge. We know when it's sometimes we do the work, but God comes in and He just makes things happen that we know was beyond us. So I'm grateful for that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint this vase. I'm letting that lip, I'm just going to do a little bit on the lip. I'm going to actually pretend that, letting that color maybe reflect off. Maybe there's some light coming in. I'm going to pick up a little bit more brown. I want it kind of to play off the colors in the flowers. And actually the ink on the Micron pen is not fading as much as I thought it was going to, so I'm grateful for that. I'm going to come down here and just go ahead and bring that down. And don't feel the need to color everything in. Remember, watercolor, letting that white parts show off the light that's reflecting. As I'm recording this, I got home from work, the sun is setting, and I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can just do this fairly quickly, fairly spontaneously. I want it to be up tomorrow morning on Thanksgiving Eve, nice and early. So if you do have just a few minutes, I'm hoping you're able to take that time to create for a few minutes, to sit with a candle, with a hot cup of coffee, with a hot cup of tea, and just reflect on the year, reflect on the gifts. There's something about gratitude, right? Just being thankful and saying thank you. It expands our view. It helps us to see things in a fresh light. I've got a little bit of paint, so I'm going to grab a towel and mop that up. Our pastor in church was pointing out on Sunday, when it comes to the will of God, we so often are seeking God's will for things in our life, but one of the things we never have to seek, he points out, is that the Bible is really clear about to give thanks in all things, for this is the will of God. Because thankfulness definitely changes our perspective. It helps us to become kinder, more patient, more gracious, and recognize the giver of all good gifts, which definitely makes me a big sigh with a big sigh of relief. I'm going to just do yellow around here, knowing that at the end of the day, my life is held in God's hand. So many things are out of our control, right? So thankful for friends, so thankful for some memories this year, so thankful for making food and the opportunities to make food for other people, so thankful for the opportunity to create. It's been so much fun to be on YouTube and sharing, painting, and seeing what other people are creating. It's just been a blast. It's been, each year has so many things, hard things, good things. Okay, this is lovely. And I'm just so grateful for 2022. It's not over yet. But this is just a wonderful time to remember and to reflect a little bit, especially before it gets so busy and so crazy with all the holidays. So you can see too, I am just gonna put in some yellow here. Okay, and now that I finished that up, isn't that looking pretty? That's looking really, really nice. So I'm gonna take some brown and I'm gonna go down here underneath my vase and underneath these petals. We're gonna just do create that border with the table here. I'm not going to be too concerned with too much detail. And we're going to call that pretty much a day. I know because it's so wet, if I put any more splatters, it's going to fade. So for example, and I can show you this, if I was going to take a little bit of the red and brown and do some splattering over here, you see it just kind of blends in. The splatters don't stick because everything's so wet. However, you know what? If this is the time we have, and we don't have time for the layering like in the Thankful Home video, this is great, right? We have just created a really lovely journal page, and this is small enough. It's about a 5x7, so you can stick it in your journal. I'm just going to add some color there, and we've only been painting for less than 15 minutes, and so I think that is absolutely fantastic, right? I think this is lovely. I'm going to put this in my journal. I'm going to date it. I already did date it. Don't forget to date it. If you want to look at, see what our home is, this is what that home looks like. And so that is the home. If I will put the link, oh, I'm sorry, it's a little bit farther away. I will put the link in down below if you want to take about an hour and make that home. It's a little bit more layered and approach, but this is fun. I've absolutely loved painting this with you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will see you next week.